Saudi fighters kill 5 civilians in Saada and Hajjah. New activities to fight cholera epidemic. War and siege lead to huge economic loss. Good evening and welcome to Yemen Today's News. I'm Ali Nasr al-Khamri. The Saudi-led coalition forces killed 4 civilians in several attacks on Saada governorate, northern Yemen. Local sources confirmed that 3 women killed by Saudi shelling on citizens' houses in Shada district west of Saada. In the same district, a civilian was killed by Saudi army snipers in Al-Mashnaq area. Meanwhile, the Saudi air jets launched 4 air strikes on Al-Ja'mala and Al-Sabhan of Majaz and Baqam Directorate. The Saudi warplanes resumed the air raids on Taiz governorate southwest of Yemen. The Saudi military aircraft targeted with 2 strikes Al-Amri area of Dhubab Coastal Directorate. Earlier, the Saudi warplanes waged 5 strikes on Mocha Directorate and used 2 cluster bombs. A civilian was killed by Saudi airstrikes on Abs Directorate north of Hajjah governorate. Yemen Today's correspondent confirmed that the Saudi warplanes targeted a farm in Al-Jar area of Abs, resulted in killing 1 civilian and great damages in the private properties. The Saudi military aircraft launched frequent heavy airstrikes on Al-Jar farm area, the last of which was on May 3rd and resulted in killing 3 civilians. At the same time, the Saudi warplanes targeted with 1 strike water well in Deir al-Harsi at the same directorate. Meanwhile, in Hajjah, residents have protested in front of the government complex in the governorate to denounce the Saudi continuous crimes against the Yemeni people since March 2015. The participants in the protest condemned the Saudi-led coalition attempts to destroy the Yemeni unity, confirming their adherence to the national values and the internal cohesion which the aggression and its paid mercenaries are trying to divide by various methods. They also condemned the actions of the occupation forces in the southern regions against the northerns. The old city of Sana'a is one of the oldest inhabited cities in the world, was repeatedly bombed by Saudi-led coalition, causing severe damages to many of its historic buildings, in addition to civilian casualties. Here is a report.
Old Sana'a, the city that is dating back to more than 2,500 years, and the UNESCO World Heritage Site has been hit heavily as the first target of the Saudi-led coalition airstrikes. The old city of Sana'a, often referred to as a living museum, is one of the oldest inhabited cities in the world, was repeatedly bombed, causing severe damage to many of its historic buildings, in addition to civilian casualties and killed by Saudi fighter jets, pulverizing Yemen's architectural history. The old city was targeted so many times in the long months of the war by acute airstrike that tore its building along with its inhabitant apart and erasing the old city's inimitable heritage, simply in violation of international humanitarian law. The first strike on the old city of Sana'a was on Al-Qasimi quarter, in which 4 adjacent houses were destroyed and 5 members of a family who were inside one of the old houses were killed. Only few months passed by to receive the old poor city the second severe strike by a missile dropped by Saudi jets on Al-Flayhi quarter, one of the old city's neighborhood. This time, the hit was unlike any other. That destroyed the entire area and killed overnight 10 people, all from one family, the father, mother, sons, and little daughters. The Saudi-led coalition hadn't had enough of the old Sana'a and came again to hit the city, crush its building, and kill its resident. This time the rocket poured over Al-Madrasa neighborhood, demolishing a number of old houses, killing 1 and wounded dozens. Yemen's time-honored city is part of the country's rich social fabric, embodying the culture of the families who have lived in it for centuries, become simply, with no consideration, a target for the Saudi-led coalition with cold blood.
With the continuation of Saudi aggression against Yemeni people and its unjust siege imposed on the country, Sana'a was announced state of emergency due to cholera outbreaks. And with the rising fear of cholera, the first consultative meeting to protect the garbage collectors from such epidemic was held. Here is a report.
Environmental engineers with strong arms who make the streets clean for citizens by removing waste, protecting the environment and beautifying the cities and neighborhoods was the only case in the first consultative meeting dedicated to protecting the garbage collectors, who are the first person exposed to diseases. The garbage piles were too much in the streets because of garbage collectors' strike. We thank them for returning to their work. We notice the difference when they do their duty. The garbage collectors are the first persons exposed to diseases. You know, they work without safety and no one cares about them. The view of the capital Sana'a was not accepted by anyone after the suspension of garbage collecting work due to the interruption of their salaries. The piles of garbage and waste in the streets lead to the spread of epidemics and diseases, which requires preventive measures to protect the garbage collectors and, as a result, the environment. The garbage collector is like a treasure we don't value, but when they are not on work. We've all seen how the capital Sana'a has become when they stop their work just for a short time. The main goal of this meeting is to provide garbage collectors with safety tools. Like we care about our health, we should care about our collectors' health. In light of the continuation of Saudi aggression and the unfair siege imposed on the people of Yemen for more than 2 years and deliberately preventing the entry of medicines, have increased the cases of cholera dreadfully and has exacerbated the lack of medicines and medical supplies. Saudi aggression must quickly end.
The second Yemeni conference on neurosurgery and the first workshop on the principles of spinal injuries were inaugurated today in Sana'a in the presence of Prime Minister Dr. Abdulaziz Saleh bin Habtoor. The conference, which organized by the Yemeni Society of Neurology, aims to exchange practical medical experiences and improve the skills of consultants and doctors in the field of neuroscience. The conference will discuss the latest research and modern scientific methods in neurological treatment through a selection of local and international neurosurgery, in addition to giving lectures to international surgeons on the internet. On the sidelines of the conference, Prime Minister Dr. Abdulaziz bin Habtoor opened the scientific exhibition, which includes the latest researches and drugs in the field of brain and nerves. For more than 2 years, the aggression on Yemen kills people, destroys infrastructure, and targets the national economy. Animal wealth is one of the featural economic sectors that are affected by such barbaric war. Here is a report.
The Saudi aggression badly affected on several life aspects, in which it influenced directly on the animal wealth inside the government that represents the basis of economical development in many directorates inside the government. In addition to that, most families depend mainly on the animal wealth, but many families left rising the animal wealth due to the continuation of Saudi unjust war. The Saudi-led coalition airstrike obliged the most of Sa'da people, especially the rural areas, on displacement and selling thousands of sheep and goods as a result of the deliberate targeting the animal wealth for the residents of Sa'da governorate. Currently, we are in a Safra directorate in Sa'da governorate to perform our role represented in vaccination the sheep amounted to 69,000 to treat them of some deadly diseases such as plague and smallpox, but the Saudi aggression didn't allow the access of needed vaccine. Much veterinary campaign targeted for directories in Sa'da province to vaccine the animal wealth and to stop spreading the diseases. as a result of the barbaric Saudi aggression.
يجب علينا أن نقوم بواجبنا.
We should do our best as possible as to help maintain the animal wealth in Sa'da, in which the Saudi aggression spread new epidemics targeting the animal wealth in Yemen, and we praised highly FAO organization for the exerted role represented in veterinary campaign for the animal wealth. The animal wealth considers the important source in Sa'da province, especially in the rural areas, which totally depends on agriculture and animal wealth, but the Saudi enemy targeted these resources and increased the suffering of most families to leave rising the animal wealth.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, back to the news headlines. Saudi fighters killed 5 civilians in Sa'da and Hajjah. New activities to fight cholera epidemic. War and siege lead to huge economic loss. Thanks for watching and good night.